The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Jesus went to the Mount of Olives, but early in the morning he arrived again in the temple area, and all the people started coming to him. And he sat down and taught them. Then the scribes and the Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in adultery and made her stand in the middle. They said to him, "Teacher, this woman was caught in the very act of committing adultery. Now in the law, Moses commanded us to stone such women. So what do you say?" They said this to test him so that they could have some charge to bring against him. Jesus bent down and began to write on the ground with his finger. But when they continued asking him, he straightened up and said to them, "Let the one among you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her." Again he bent down and wrote on the ground, and in response they went away one by one, beginning with the elders. So he was left alone with the woman before him. Then Jesus straightened up and said to her, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" She replied, "No one, sir." Then Jesus said, "Neither do I condemn you. Go, and from now on do not sin anymore." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
In 1666, the bubonic plague was ravaging London, and in that year it killed 100,000 people in London, a much smaller city then, obviously, than it is now. And the diarist, Samuel Pepys, kept a very, very good diary of London during the years that he lived there, and we learn a lot from him. And about the plague and its effect on London, he wrote this: "The disease is making us more cruel to one another than if we were dogs." And I think as this coronavirus goes through and takes its toll, I think that we are faced with a choice. We're faced with the choice: are we going to treat one another like dogs, or are we going to pull together as humanity and lift one another up in the midst of this? Similarly, I think that there's another way in which this gospel passage applies to these observations, and it's that before coronavirus, it seemed in this country we were very good at dividing one another, celebrating division in political parties, looking for purity, and any fault would be grounds for being put out of the community. Other than coronavirus, there's something much more fundamental that unites all of us. We are all sinners. And what is our response after coronavirus, and hopefully after this experience of coming together as a people, as a humanity together, regardless of what country we live in? What's our response going to be to sin? Imagine all of the resources and energy being put towards coronavirus. Imagine if it was put towards the response to sin that Jesus would have us make. That is a response of love. Jesus' response to sin in this gospel passage is love, not condemnation.